everybody, welcome back to another episode of I Double Dare You, where my friend Laura Alberts and I have issued each other a challenge in the form of a dare. And this month's dare that Laura gave to me was to do some fussy cutting and stamping for a title. And so I'm going to do a bunch of fussy cutting and make my own title. So I have pulled out a paper pad, and this is an old one from Paige Evans. So you got to tell me if you guys still have this collection or if you have killed it, because it's an old one. And I'm just going to take my circle punch, which is sort of the same thing as fussy cutting, right? And I'm going to punch out a bunch of circles. So I am doing a bunch of the pattern paper circles, and then I am also going to do a few of the word shaped circles. As you can tell from this particular paper, it all came from a paper pad. So I did not even grab my kit bag from this collection because I do have embellishments and things left over. But instead, I went completely just for the paper pad and my stamps to start this layout. And so I'm going to punch a ton of these circles. And I will tell you, I like how the layout turned out, but I wish I would have done it a little bit differently. And so we'll talk about that kind of as we go. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. I am going to take this card that says high five, and I'm going to fussy cut the high five part of it out of the card. And it's just going to be something that overlaps the edge of my photo. So this is kind of where in Laura's challenge to me, she wanted to see some fussy cutting from pattern paper to become part of the title. It isn't exactly part of the title, so I bent the rules a little bit. But I am going to use it on the layout, and it is going to be part of the decor and a big element on the page. But I really liked it because it says high five, and this layout is going to be about game night, but also because the 5 is really big, and there are 5 of us in our family, and game night is one of those times where we can all kind of come together. We have 3 kids who have very different interests and personalities. But game night kind of brings us all together. And so I really liked that there was that big 5 that I could fussy cut because it kind of has a little bit of a meaning in the background for me. And so I've taken my photo, which is just a picture of, I think it's Parker and Ty in this one, playing this new game that Ty had gotten for Christmas. It's like this battleship bounce type game thing where you have to bounce these balls into the corresponding team members' ships in order to sink their battleships. And so that's what the picture is. And so I took this pattern paper, and I'm going to use the light blue watercolor one as my background. And then I took the circle paper and I just cut a few strips and then kind of spread them out across the edge of the page. And right now I'm thinking that's going to go on the right hand side, and then I'm going to do kind of a diagonal element with my circles from the top left to the bottom right of the picture, and that's where I start. And if you know me or you've been around the channel for a while, you know that circles are like a pretty big struggle for me on a page. I love the look of them when other people do them, but I really struggle with being happy with how they look. So I'm struggling at this point. I'm just going to admit it. I am definitely on the struggle bus. So I'm like, man, I want to get these circles in here because the game in the picture is all about these bouncing balls in this game. And so I thought the circle elements were really fun because they match up with the picture and the particular game that we're playing. So I'm trying here, guys. I'm like, I gotta get these circles on this layout. So I'm like, all right, well then, where is my stamping and my title gonna go? How is all this gonna work together? I'm not feeling it. It's not working for me. So what I end up doing is kind of twiddling my thumbs for a minute, and then I decide to flip my layout. So I flip it so that the little stripes are on the bottom, and then my circles are gonna run on the diagonal, kind of from the top right to the bottom left of my photo instead. And I took the outside 2 and put them on some foam adhesive, and then I made the 2 that had phrases kind of be tucked under the edge of my photo, so they almost look like tabs. And I'm liking it a little better. It's working more for me, this is where I kind of wish I would have done something different. So as I was looking at the final layout, and I like it, it's okay, and I did circles, so nothing lost. But what I'm kind of wishing I did is put the circles in like a horizontal line instead of trying to do this diagonal. But I just, for some reason, had in my head that I wanted it to be on a diagonal. Probably because my photo is also on a slight diagonal. I don't know, guys. But it was like stuck in my head that the circles were going to be on a diagonal. Looking at the final layout, I do kind of wish that I had just put them horizontally, like coming out from the two sides of my photo. So that might be something to think about if you were to make a layout like this. I did take that big high five and I put it on foam adhesive so that it would sit on top of my photo because my photo also is on some foam adhesive. And then I want to create a combined title. So I'm using some big letters, and these are from Wild Whisper Designs. And I'm going to combine them with some smaller words. So I'm really kind of putting my stamps to work for me. So the big letters here are going to spell out game night. And I'm going to use my absolute favorite Catherine Pooler inks. So I have the black ink. And I spell out game night. And I went ahead and did that off screen so that you didn't have to watch all that crazy stamping. And then I have the word adventure. And this is from an Allie Edwards, I think like a travel set. And so it's in her kind of scripty letters. And I'm going to add that off, like kind of offset on a diagonal at the end of my title. So far my title says Game Night Adventure. And I like how that is kind of on the diagonal a little bit with the diagonal circles that I have going on. And then I found this little tiny word in a Heidi Swap set that I had gotten on clearance that says family. And it nestled in perfectly around the top of the G. So we've got our title element, which is what my challenge was from Laura. So we've got Family Game Night Adventure as our whole title. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab this star stamp. And I'm using some of my extra circles kind of to mask so that I can make it look like I have these star stamps tucked in behind my circles. So you could totally do the stamping element before you glued anything down, which, you know, would make sense, which is probably why I didn't do it that way, because that would make a lot of sense. So I'm using some of my extra circles as masks so that I can stamp onto my background, but not stamp over the edges of the pattern paper. So I'm just like using that masking technique to make sure that they look like they're tucked in behind. And it works just fine. It might be a little more work than if I would have done it to begin with, but you know, go with it. It'll work. I am going to have one extend kind of off the page there, up at the top. And I think I'm done with the stars, except that I have 4, which, you know, odd numbers are supposed to be better. But then I decide to add one down here by my title, and I think that that just like makes the title feel complete. So now it's time for a little embellishing. And remember I said I never pulled out my Heidi, or not my Heidi Swap. This is Heidi Swap. I never pulled out my Paige Evans embellishments or anything to go with this kit. So I just grabbed some random embellishments because, you know, they were the right colors and it worked. So I'm going to try and get these words lucky and epic in here. And so because these are epoxy and they're a little bit flexible, I'm just going to tuck them around my circles. And it makes them seem a little like less like circles, which actually kind of helped because, you know, I'm allergic to circles apparently. And so I've got a couple of words that are tucked in there. So we got the lucky, we got the epic, and then I'm going to go through just these other little embellishment sections that I have going on. So I add a little hashtag to each one in a different color. And then I have these little puffy circle like sticker things. I think I got them at like Target. They're not anything fancy. And I'm going to tuck one of those into each side of my embellishment cluster. So I've really got like 2 major embellishment cluster areas going on here. And so I use one of each of those. And then I have these Ellie Studio puffy sticker stars in like a rainbow of colors. And so I'm going to add some of those to each of my clusters as well. And I'm going to actually come back to these because you're going to see me like on the fly come up with another idea that I actually think turns out really cute. So they'll be coming back. Don't worry. And then I'm going to throw some enamel dots in there because, you know, what's an embellishment cluster without all the things? So now we've got stars, we've got epoxy stickers, we've got puffy circles, we've got enamel dots. We're just, you know, if all else fails, put all the things. put all the things. All right, so this is where my stars come back out, and I actually really like this part. So I take a few of these puffy sticker stars and add them as little accents onto my letters in the game night title. And I love the little tiny pop of color and like difference that makes. So stamping and then adding a little like touch of whimsical detail is definitely a tip that I would encourage you to try, because I feel like it really kind of transformed that title. And so that's basically going to do it for this layout. So hopefully you like what I came up with. Hopefully Laura thinks I did a great job with her challenge. Do make sure you head over to Laura's channel, because she took on my challenge of creating her own ephemera and die cuts with stamps, and her page today is gorgeous, you guys. I'll see you soon. Have a good weekend. Bye.